Hi YouTube, it's me again. This video I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on the NICU stay that my children had recently. I know a lot of parents like me did not think their kids would be in the NICU for any reason, so it was kind of unexpected. Yeah, even when you have twins and you know there's a chance they may come early, um, it's one of those things where when it doesn't look like you're going to have them early and things are trucking along during the pregnancy and they seem to be fine, you kind of not think about things like NICU stays, especially if it's not something that's familiar with you already, with perhaps a singleton that was early. So for me, I ended up looking at a lot of other folks' YouTube video clips of their child's NICU stay while my kids were in the NICU. But I didn't really look at them before then to really know, what was going on. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the NICU stay just to kind of help out anyone who maybe their child may have to go or that type of thing. And of course, if you have any questions, specific questions about the NICU, it's a lot easier if you just post the questions and then of course I can answer them. Rather than me just talk about every single aspect of the NICU because I'm not real sure what you'd find interesting, but I'll just kind of get an overview. At our hospital here, it is a level 3 NICU, and of course, most of you know NICUs are in different levels, and 3 is the second to highest. The one above it, I'm not sure if it's considered a 4 or just a second tier level 3, but the way it was explained to me by the anesthesiologist, and the neonatologist and some of the other folks that I came in contact with during my C-section or right before it, put it that way, and right after, was that level 3 is what we have. Level 4 is the same thing, except they also have a cardiac surgeon, pediatric cardiac surgeon, which I did know that about the other hospitals in the area that are a little further out, that they had one because at one point they thought they were going to have me deliver there. So that would be the next level up. But my girls ended up right after birth. I got to see them very briefly. One of them was not on any type of oxygen, and one of them was what we called a CPAP, which is where they put this little device in their nose that holds. Well, she was on room air, what they call 21%, I think, oxygen room air, and it's where she was getting air circulating along with a little container that had water in it that was kind of humidifying it or moisturizing the air so her nose wouldn't dry out. So I think they called it a wet CPAP is what I heard the nurse say. So she was on that for the first 2 days. When they went to the NICU, they were in what we call pod 3. And at our hospital, they have 3 pods, and then they have an intermediate care nursery, which is where the babies typically go when they're not too far from coming home, or their level of care is not as advanced, we'll put it that way. So the girls started out in pod 3. They were there from the first day until the day before the week, before it hit a week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I believe that's right. And so they were there, and I won't say that it was an easy thing. For most new parents, you expect to take your child home from the hospital. You expect to be able to have those first moments, those first pictures, and you get to take them home and experience all that stuff. We experienced some of it. We had the opportunity to take pictures as we wanted in the NICU. We had the opportunity to take their temperature, to change them, to put clothes on them, to give them a bath. We tried to make it as close to if they had come home as possible. When they're very, very small, especially when they're still in the incubator, which is the little clear isolate box, those of you that don't know what that is with the holes in it. When they were still in that, well, for starters, anytime you go in and out of the NICU, you have to wash your hands. So you have to wash your hands for a full minute. You have to put on hand sanitizer. Then if you wanted to pick one of the babies up, it has to be right around their feeding time, because small preemies, from what they told us, they get tired very easily, and they don't want them to burn off the energy, burn any extra calories that they've just gained by eating. So the only time you could really hold them is while you're feeding them. That way they're eating and you get to look at them and play with them, and then you have to put them back. But you would stick your hands through their little isolate of the incubator, you'd take their temperature, you change their diaper through there, and then once everything was good there, then they would let you take them out with all the wires hooked to them, that type of thing. And like I said, I was very fortunate. My girls, one of them was only on CPAP for 2 days, the other one wasn't on anything. So the only real little devices or assistants they had. They had IVs, and they had their little blood pressure cuff if it was hooked to them, and they had little pulse ox for a while. And that was kind of it. In the IV, they were getting like a nutritional supplement like the first several days, and then baby A, she got some sort of dextrose, which is like a treatment for high sodium, because she had high sodium for like 2 days. And that was it. Other than that, they were pretty much just there to eat and to grow. So, you know, but still they had a lot of wires connecting them. So when they hand them to you, you know, you're trying not to pull anything out. You're trying to make sure they're okay. And like my girls were just, they were small. Now, granted, they were born on the 33-week mark. So they weren't as tiny as I've seen some. I mean, there were other babies in there that were a pound and change. I mean, you know, my girls were almost 3'10" and 3'6" when they were born. So they were actually a decent size compared to some of the other babies in there. But still, that's very small for me because my other kids were not that tiny. So, you know, I'm holding them, and, you know, they would eat. I'd get to hold them, take a couple pictures, and then put them back. Of course, while I was still in the hospital during my 4-day stay, I would try to go down there as often as I could, and I'd sit for hours, because my thing is I'd rather be down here with them for hours, excuse me, in the NICU than sitting in my hospital room staring at, you know, whatever. So it was easier for me just to stay there and hang out and just watch them and take pictures and see what they were doing. Then once the girls switched over to the intermediate care nursery, they ended up going over there, and they still stayed in the little incubators. But at our hospital, once they are able to pretty much keep their temperature up, and once they hit 4 pounds, they'll move them out of the incubator and into what they call the little bassinet. It looks like it's called an open air crib, but it looks like a regular bassinet that most hospitals would wheel your baby around in and to bring the baby down to you in your room. That's what it looks like. So my girls were able... they did not switch on the same day. Baby B was slightly larger than baby A, and she has been the whole pregnancy to include then. So she switched out like maybe 2 days before baby A did, and then baby A was able to get in a little isolate. In a little bassinet. And, you know, they did pretty well. For the most part, they were able to keep their temp up. You just had to keep them covered. With them being in there, you were able to pick them up a little bit more and interact with them, you know, just making sure you kept them covered so that they wouldn't get chilly. And then, you know, that was kind of it. The girls ended up staying just under a 3-week visit. That Tuesday would have made 3 weeks. They came home that Monday. So they came home just before 36 weeks. They were 35 weeks and 6 days old when they came home. And like I said, they were born exactly on 33 weeks that morning. Overall, the nursing staff at the NICU was awesome. Wonderful set of nurses. The girls only had the same nurse maybe once or twice the whole time they were there. Well, I'm sorry, let's rephrase that. I only saw them with the same nurse. Now, obviously, I wasn't there 24 hours a day, and they typically have 2 shifts. They have the night shift and the evening shift at the hospital. So it was one of those things where whoever, well, at least I think they only have 2 shifts. They might have 3, and I just don't know it. But I thought it was just 2, but I could be wrong. I just know that anytime I was there, I only saw them with the same nurse maybe once or twice. Now, I'm sure they probably had the same nurse an additional time, but that's all I saw. But all of the nurses, no matter who it was, no matter which shift, no matter whether it was a weekend or during the week, they were very, very nice, very helpful, very informative. If I had a question, they found out. They went and looked in the chart, or they went and asked one of the neonatologists. The neonatologist, the day the girls were born, one came to see me, and I think twice I talked to them while I was down in the NICU. They stopped over and talked to me. No, 3 times. 3 of them I talked to. 2 of the nurse practitioners that worked down there came and spoke to me while I was in there. Always very informative. They give you a nice binder that's almost like an instruction manual of how to take care of the babies once they come home. They give you 2 little memory books. Those of you that know me know I'm a scrapbooker. They gave me all of the stuff from the girls, you know, all their little cards, their little weight charts. They gave me their little blood pressure cuff, their little leads that they had on, everything in my little bag to bring home so I could scrapbook it. So that was really nice. They gave me all of that. But I mean, excellent staff. I have to say, you know, when I was feeling a little depressed because my girls were still there and they hadn't come home yet, they were wonderful, just wonderful. They did a really good job making sure with the lactation consultants down there. There's several of them, and they're all different, you know, I guess, in what their specialty is in nursing, but they all are also lactation consultants. Wonderful job coming down there and encouraging, coming up to my hospital room while I was still in the hospital and making sure that, you know, I had everything I needed, making sure that I wasn't discouraged. You know, they came down there and spent plenty of time with me, at least an hour. I remember one night, at least an hour. So, you know, much kudos to them. They did a great job. But overall, I have to say I was not upset, you know, with the care the girls got. The only time I think I was a little perturbed was towards the end. They had me room in twice. The first night I roomed in with just one of the twins, and then a couple days later, the night before the girls came home, they had me room in with both. And it was just one of those things where, you know, we were hoping the one twin would come home, and then they changed it at the last minute because they were a little worried about her feeding. And I felt almost like it was a punishment to me because they're like, well, you didn't feed her enough. And I'm like, well, if she won't take the bottle, you know, I can't force her to drink it. But, you know, I had to look at it as, and like I told my husband, I'd rather them be completely healthy when they come home than them to come home with problems and have to come back, if that makes sense. You know, and in the end, they ended up coming home on the same day, which was a blessing because I really didn't want to have to leave one without the other. You know, so they came home on the same day, and they were both able to eat, you know, both able to keep their temperature up, so they were fine. So I will say that even though I was a little upset that they changed it on me at the last minute with the first one, I was happy that they came at the same time. But other than that, that's really all I can say about the NICU here, other than great things. But again, if you have any specific questions, I'd love to answer them if I can. Thanks. Bye.